So, students, let's look at the practice worksheet and let's look at the solutions. I'm sure that you have all started working and you can verify your solutions. Sometimes I would have solved in a particular method. You might have done it in a similar way or a different way. You can always compare. Okay, so let's start off with the first one. And I'll be solving this in parts and sending you. Okay, so I'll be making the links in parts and you will get the solution in parts. All right, coming to the first one, which is the volume of a cube is 512 meter cube. Find the length of its side. So let the side be A. Okay, let side be some A meters. So what will be the volume? So volume of a cube of length A meters is A cube. So therefore, um, you have to find here A cube is given, as in the volume is given as 512. So you have to find the corresponding A. So let's map. Well, the cube of which number is 512? It is 8, isn't it? A cube is 8 cube, or in other words, A is equal to 8 meters. So this is how you, if it's an MCQ, you would be given options like, A, B, C, D. You have to just choose the correct option. If you can do it mentally, it's good. That's why you should know, for this kind of sums, you should know the cubes of the first. It's always advisable to, not that you have to memorize, but if you practice it, you will be, it's good if you know the cubes of the first 12 numbers. I've always told you in the classroom sessions as well. It's a good practice to know the cubes of the first 12 numbers, squares of the first 25 numbers, squares of the first 25 numbers. Okay, squares of the first 25 numbers. If you know, it's always good. Okay. And in these kind of sums, it's going to help you. Next, find the number of sides of a regular polygon whose each interior angle has a measure of 135 degrees. So let the polygon have n sides, because the number of sides, whatever is unknown, you take it as a variable, in this case n. So let polygon have, let us say that is n is this number of sides of the polygon. Let n be the number of sides. So according to the question, interior angle, each interior angle is 135 degrees. We know that I plus E form a linear pair, isn't it? I and E form a linear pair. So I plus E should give me 180, in which case 135 plus E will give me 180. So E should be 180 minus 135, which is 45. So what would be N? N is equal to 360 divided by what? E. This is because it's a regular polygon, isn't it? So this would be 360 by 45. 360 can be written as 90 into 4 by 45. 45 ones are 45, twos are 90, and 2 into 4 is 8. It's an octagon, 8-sided regular polygon, or a regular octagon, we can say. Okay, so this is how you will do it. So here you have to first use linear pair, find the exterior angle, and then use the formula that for a regular polygon of n sides, n is equal to 360 divided by E. Okay, moving on. If one angle of a parallelogram is 60 degrees, find the measure of its opposite and adjacent angles. Opposite angles in a parallelogram, opposite angle will be same as 60 degrees, isn't it? The adjacent angles will be 180 minus 60, which is 120 degrees. So we know that in a parallelogram, opposite angles are equal and adjacent angles are supplementary. So you need to remember this. Opposite angles are equal in a parallelogram, and adjacent angles, adjacent means neighboring angles, are supplementary. So given the square root of this is 30976 is 176. Find the square root of 309.76. So basically here it's a test of your knowledge of decimals, working knowledge of decimals here. So if I were to write root of 309.76, I might write it as 30976 divided by 100. That would be root of 30976 divided by root of 100. Okay, this root goes for the entire thing, no? That would be, what is root of 30976? It is 176, that is given, divided by root of 100 is 10. So 176 by 10, 17.6. One decimal place it's jumped, isn't it? Now coming to the B part, we want square root of 3.0976. So I can write it as square root of 30976 divided by 1000, because there are 4 decimal places, isn't it? 10,000, sorry. And this will amount to root of 30976 divided by root of 10,000. There are 4 zeros. So 30976 square root is 176. Numerator is the same. Denominator is 10,000. There are 4 zeros. And take it out of the radix, it amounts to 2 zeros. Root of 10,000 is 100. So 176 by 100 is 1.76 your answer. Okay. Moving on. Mention the parallelogram where the diagonals are equal. So in which in parallelogram the diagonals are equal? All parallelograms, that is rectangle. See, one thing is in all parallelograms, the diagonals bisect each other. But if you want specifically the parallelogram where the diagonals are equal, there are only two of them, which is rectangle and square. Where do they meet at 90? That's in a square and a rhombus. The diagonals meet at 90 degrees. Where are they perpendicular and equal? Perpendicular, in other words, meaning meeting at 90. In other words, me telling you that they are perpendicular is as good as me telling you that they meet at 90 degrees. So perpendicular, it's rhombus and square. Perpendicular and equal, it has to be only square. It can be only a square. Then all interior angles are equal. Now, if you look at the polygon 360 by, in this case, quadrilateral, right, 4, you're going to get 90. That's in a regular polygon only it's possible. So it's only rectangle and square because each angle will be 90 degrees. All interior angles will be equal to 90 degrees. Okay. So in all regular polygons, see, the rectangle is not a regular polygon, but still each vertex angle is equal to 90 degrees. So you can mention it. So it's a parallelogram basically. Then diagonals bisect the vertex angles. Yes. They bisect the vertex angles, as in if this is 80, this will be 40 and this will be 40, I told you. So that is happening only in two polygons, two parallelograms, I mean. One is your square and the other is the rhombus. We have spoken about this in class. Now find the mean of 3, 3, 5, 7 and 2. So mean is, in other words, the arithmetic average or mean, arithmetic mean or average. You have to take the sum of observations divided by the number of observations. How many observations here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is 5. And you have to take the sum 3 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 2. What is it? It is sum of observations. You have to sum up all the observations divided by the number of observations, the count of observations, that is 5 in this case. Let's total it up. 3 plus 3 is 6 plus 5, 11. 11 plus 7 is 18 plus 2 is 20. And 20 divided by 5 will give me 4. So the mean is 4. If it's were to be asked in an MCQ, you'll have 4 options. You'll have to choose the correct option. And a lot of this can be worked out mentally. Like you can solve it with very minimal steps. And remember in MCQs, as I told you, you just need to write the correct option and nobody is going to check your working. The 7th one, the square of, this is important. For this, you need to have a working knowledge of the ending numbers. So I told you that if the digit ends in 2 or 8, 2 to the 4, 8 to the 64, the square will end in 4. If the digit ends in 6 or 4, it will end in 6. 4 4 are 16, 6 6 are 36. Likewise, if the last digit ends in the last digit is 3 or 7, 3 3s are 9, 7 7s are 49. So the number will end in, the square number will end in 9. So if the number ends in 3 or 7, the square number will end in 9. Then if the number ends in 5, the square will end in 5. And if the number ends in 1 or 9, the square will end in 1. And of course, for 0, the number has to end in a 0. If it's 1 0, in the squared version, you will have double the amount of zeros, terminating zeros. So now, given that the square of, so see now, this is a sum where I used to give the sum in class, and I used to see students actually working out, some of them. It's not required. Now, nobody's asked you the square of the number. What? See, go with the question. The square of the number will end in, isn't it? So you just have to look at the ending digit here, which is 7, and go with this. If the digit ends in 7, its square will end in 9. So the correct option is option B. So you have to report it as 7B. Okay. And no other entry because it cannot end in any other number. Next, 23 25% of a number is 40. Find the number. So one is, there are two parts here. 25% of a number is 40. So let the number be, let's say A. So 25% of A is 40. This is as per the question. So this gives me what? 25 percentage means by 100 of is into A is 40. So now let's apply the knowledge of factors. 25 ones are, 25 fours are. So A divided by 4 is 40, isn't it? And when you cross multiply, you take this 4 up. So it becomes A is equal to 4 into 40, which is 160. And this is your answer. Now coming to the next part, which is find 25% of 40. This is easy. So be careful. You need to, I put this deliberately because I want you to know the difference. So 25% of a number is 40, find the number, and find 25% of 40. So they are two different things. Okay. So now here it is 25% of 40, and I told you 25% technically amounts to 1/4 of the number, right? So otherwise you go with what you know, 25 by 100 into 40. 25 ones are, 25 fours are, 40 divided by 4 is 10. The answer is 10. Okay. Next. The length of the side of a rhombus is 8 centimeters. Find its perimeter. Perimeter will be 4 times the side of the rhombus, 4 into 8, which is 32 centimeters in this case. So if you have options, be careful. And you should know the formula. It's 4 into 8. Okay. Because rhombus will have all the sides equal. And let's see the SAT analysis of square and rhombus later so that we can compare and contrast. For now, let's go on with the cube root of 50653 will end in. Be very careful here. It's cube root. See, if you go with basic numbers, let's say 3 into 3 into 3 cube, that is technically I'm finding 3 cube. 3 3s are 9, 9 3s are 27. So I get 27. So in other words, the cube root of 27 is 3. So if a number were to end in 7, its cube root would have ended in 3. Okay. Or if it's, be careful, it's not cube that is asked here, it's a cube root. So how do I get 3 in the cubed version? Let's check another number. Let's take 7 into 7 into 7. Technically, I'm finding 7 cube. What is 7 cube? 7 sevens are 49 into 7 is 343. So if a number were to end in 3, its cube root would have ended in 7. Is as in cube root of 343 will be 7. Isn't it? So here the same thing. If the number ends in 3, its cube root would be ending in 7. That is why you have got, so you're not actually going to find the cube root. You don't need to. There is a method of Vedic method, I will tell you now. But you really don't need to actually find the cube root to find out what it will end in. It should not be 3, it will not be 9, it will, of course, it will not be 5, obviously, because if for 5, it has to end in 5 itself. And 9 9s are 81. 81 into 9 is 729. So again, it's not possible. So with this simple logic, you can understand that cube root of a number ending in 3. So I repeat, the cube root of a number ending in 3 should be ending in 7. Okay. But what if you really want to go and find out? There is this Vedic method. Okay, so the Vedic method, what is this Vedic method telling us? So I'll tell you here. Vedic method of 1 minute. Yeah. So what does it say? See, 50653. So provided it's a perfect cube, what you have to do is you form triplets. Your hypothetical decimal point is somewhere here, isn't it? So go outwards and form triplets. See, when we did long division multiplication method for the square roots finding, isn't it? What do? We group them into pairs. Here we group them into triplets. So group them into triplets. You can just take these two. If you want, you can put a 0. 0 of 50 is just 50 itself. Doesn't make any difference. See now 653. So 653 is what? It is, it will be ending in, the 3 is there, right? So it has to end in what? 653. So if you want a number to end in 3, it is 7 cube, right? 7 into 7 into 7. 49 into 7 is 343. So that means if you're going with the cube roots, there will be 7 coming here. Then 50. 50 is, now you look at the perfect cubes in which range 50 lies. 3 cube is 27 and 4 cube is 64, isn't it? So our 50 lies between these two cubes, 27 and 64. 27 happens to be 3 cube and 64 happens to be 4 cube. You take the lower of the two, which is 3 cube. So the answer will be 37. So technically, if you can go and, as a practice, I would still advise go and work out, do long multiplication and check. Otherwise, hit on a calculator and find out, you would still get the same answer. So we're not asking you to actually go and find out this, that, okay, cube root of this is so and so. Okay. So that's not required. And even if you do any other method like prime factorization method, group into triplets, you can also still find the cube root, but that's not required here. So if you have that working knowledge that a number ending in, or, if you take the cube of 7, it is 343. Or in other words, if a number ends in 7, its cube will end in 3. Or if a number is ending in 3, its cube root will end in 7. The other way around. So this knowledge you should need to have. Next is, any number raised to the power 0 equals what? So a number raised to the power 0. So be very careful. Anything raised to power 0 will not be equal to 0. No. Not defined. No, I didn't say that. It's only because I mentioned not 0. Not defined only happens when the base is also 0. I clearly mentioned the brackets. The number is non-zero. A non-zero number is raised to the power 0. A to the power 0 is equal to what, right? Number itself, no. It's a to the power 1 is equal to a. So be very careful here. It's sometimes misleading. Anything raised to the power 0 is 1. The option should be, correct option should be D. Next, ABCD is a cyclic quadrilateral. If one of the angles is 120 degrees, find the opposite angle. So, remember, in any cyclic quadrilateral, let us say A is a ABCD. Let us say ABCD. It's any quadrilateral, any four-sided figure. If it is a cyclic quadrilateral, I told you that all the 4 vertices lie on the boundary of a circle. Like this, isn't it? It will be like this, something like this. Okay, all the four vertices should lie. The point should lie. Okay, so if one of them is 120, so what is the property of a cyclic quadrilateral? The opposite angles are supplementary. In this case, if one is 120, like A is 120, C has to be 60 because they form a linear pair. 120 plus 60, not linear pair. I mean to say they are supplementary. Okay, that is 120 plus 60 will give me 180. You need to be careful about this. So just that they add up. Likewise, even D and B will add up to another 180. Next, identify the number or the numbers which are perfect squares and perfect cube. So one of course, 1 is such a wonderful number. You can write it as 1 cube, you can write it as 1 square, you can write it as 1 raised to power 4 and so on. So many things. So 1 obviously is a perfect cube and a perfect square. Next is look at 27. 27 is 3 cube. You can't express 27 as a square of any number. So no. 25 is 5 square and it's not the cube of anything. 125 is the cube of 5 and it is not the square of any number, but not the perfect square, I'm saying. Likewise, 1000 is the cube of 10 and it's not the perfect square of any number. But look at 64. 64 is both a perfect square and a perfect cube. So we will go with 64 and 1. Moving on. How many sides does a regular polygon have if each of its exterior angle measures 15 degrees? Okay, again, it's a regular polygon. So n, let the number of sides be n. N is equal to 360 by E. E is what? 15 in this case, right? So you can do it easily. So 36 into 10 by, you can say 3 into 5. 5 ones are 5 twos are 3 ones are 3 12s are 12 twos are 24 sides. Okay, a polygon will have 24. The correct option is B. Okay, so be very careful. Again, it's multiplication. By chance you have made a mistake and you put 12. You forgot to multiply the 12 by 2. The answer is wrong. So now, and remember in MCQs, if it's an MCQ, nobody will check your method. We are just looking at the final answer. But you have to train yourself, and these kind of thinking questions will actually in a way, yes, you feel that they're easy because the options are out there, but also be very careful because you have to understand that sometimes they can confuse you. That is all deliberately done because it will help you in analytical thinking. You should analyze things. So even if you have solved halfway through, you can arrive at the answer. That's the thing with MCQs out here. It's how strong your analytical skills are, and you can develop this over time. Next, out of 40 students in a class, 25% failed. So how many of them passed? So if 25% failed, 100 minus 20, that means technically 1/4 have failed, we are saying. So 100 minus 25 is what? 100% minus 25% will be 75%, they would have passed. Okay. So now there are 40 students. So we need the passing percentage is 75%. The percentage of students who have passed. So 75% of 40 is what I need to calculate. So 75 by 100 into 40. Let's use the knowledge of factors of 25. 25 3s are 25 4s are 100. 3 by 4 into 40. So 4 tens are 4 tens are, and that will give me 30 students. So 30 students have passed. Next is the 16th one. 103 square minus 97 square by 200. Now, technically, in this universe, you really don't have to know what is 103 square. You don't have to know what is 97 square for this sum. Okay, if you know, if you have a calculator, if you want to calculate, well and good, but that will not be, that liberty is not given to you in the test. So what you can do, use the formula a square minus b square for the numerator. What is a square minus b square? A plus b into a minus b, isn't it? So that you need to know. The numerator is a square minus b square. So 103 square minus 97 square over 200. What is 103 square minus 97 square? I'll write it here. Wait, I need space. Just write it here. Okay, so it's 103 square minus 97 square over 200. So a square minus b square is a plus b into a minus b over 200. So what is 100 plus 97? It is 103, sorry, 103 plus 97 and 103 minus 97. A plus b into a minus b. 103. So it will be 103 plus 97 is 200. 200 into 103 minus 97 will be 6. 6 over 200. Cancel out, we'll get 6. The answer is option D. So in this case, I no need to find out what is 103 square. I need not find out what is 97 square. I just have to use a square minus b square is a plus b into a minus b. This identity I need to use. I have explained this in class also. Next, one pair of opposite sides is parallel in what? Obviously, na parallelogram. But look at the question carefully. I said only one pair. Parallelogram ruled out because both the pairs are parallel. Kite, no. In a kite, you don't have any parallel sides at all. It is like this, isn't it? There is no pair which is parallel. So kite is also ruled out. In trapezium, yes. In trapezium, only one pair of opposite sides are parallel. So the answer should be trapezium. Rhombus, rhombus is a parallelogram. Rhombus is a special parallelogram. So it satisfies the properties of a parallelogram. So in rhombus, again, both the sides are, both the opposite sides are parallel, both the pairs. So even rhombus is ruled out. Rectangle is also a parallelogram ruled out. Cyclic quadrilateral. Now that depends on what kind of cyclic quadrilateral it is. So this doesn't give us any much clarity because a cyclic quadrilateral can be a rectangle, it can be a square, it can be an isosceles trapezium. So since for now I'm not having any much clarity on what kind of cyclic quadrilateral, we'll just go with trapezium. So in a trapezium, only one pair of opposite sides are parallel. See, the other two sides will be non-parallel. See, this side and this side will be non-parallel. Where I put arrows, that pair represents, they both are, I mean, those two sides are parallel. Next is, diagonals are perpendicular to each other except in a rhombus, diagonals are perpendicular. Square, diagonals are perpendicular. Even in kite figure I explained, isn't it? Kite is not a parallelogram, but even in a kite, diagonals are perpendicular. You have this, isn't it? These two sides are equal and these two sides are equal. So diagonals are perpendicular except in trapezium. In trapezium, diagonals are not perpendicular. It will be like this. Only one pair of sides are parallel and you will have two diagonals. And we can't say anything about, they will not be perpendicular. Next is this. This is from the laws of exponents. So you should have a working knowledge of exponents. I told you, we've already seen this earlier. Anything raised to power 0 is 1. Any non-zero number, I mean. Likewise, this 20 power 0 is also another 1. Plus 5 power 0 is also 1. So when you add up all this, you'll get 3. Now there are such misleading options here. See, 125 is there, 25 is there. So, and then there is also 1 by 125. The correct option is option D. Next is compute the square of 113 by 16, square root of. So for that you have to first simplify this mixed fraction. So it is not a big thing. It looks like something complicated, but it's quite simple. 16 ones are 16. 16 plus 3 is 16 plus 13 is 16. So there's a problem with the question. The question is actually a typo. It had to be 3 1 by 16, just for your information. So you can correct this. Okay. This was a typo in the question. I just wanted to inform this in class also. 3 1 by 16. So it's not 113 by 16 because you're going to get a decimal out here. So it's 3 1 by 16. 16 is 48 plus 1, 49 by 16. So the square root of 49 by 16 we want, isn't it? So square root of 49 divided by square root of 16 is 7 by 4. And you can see now 7 by 4. In most MCQs, you may not find the answer as options as 7 by 4. So remember, then you will have to use the knowledge. You might find 7 by 4. Otherwise, 4 ones are 4, 3 by 4. You can find this, or 1.75. So there are different ways we can rewrite this. So be very careful about it. Next is 100% in a pie chart corresponds to what? In a pie chart, 100% corresponds to 1. Because yeah, 100% corresponds to 1 in terms of fractions. See, I have 1 means the whole number, right? The full. And then I'm going to have pieces or parts. So 100% definitely will correspond to 1. It also, that is in terms of fractions. It also corresponds to 360 degrees in terms of angle. Obviously not 180. And then option A and B. So you should actually choose correct option is D, because you can only tick any one here. So in this case, you can't just write A. You will not be getting marks because there is one more option which is correct. So the one which takes care of both them is option D. So 21D is the correct option. So students, I hope till here the explanation has been helpful. I'll move on with set 2.